Hello, hello, and how are you folks doing today? This is your host, Tim Tapp, and this is Tapp Into the Truth. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a heck of a ride the last couple of weeks. I have missed spending time here at Spreaker. I was broadcasting last Sunday, however, over at BTR. If you missed it, please check it out. In the meanwhile, let's just jump right into things. We've had riots going on in Boston. I haven't had a chance to talk about that over here. That was the primary focus of Sunday's broadcast, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. But right now, I have got to get a few things off my chest. We can get into the details about this story a little bit later, but I have got to get this off my chest. Ladies and gentlemen, there was an attack in Texas. One of the two people involved has been identified as someone that's been on a watch list. He's been investigated by the FBI. They were watching him. He's known, avowed ISIS sympathizer. Some people even went so far as to say that it is ISIS. There have been tweets and on websites. ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack. In case you were under a rock, there was a shooting that took place in Texas Sunday night. There was a free speech rally going on. A lot of people who listen to this show are probably familiar with Pamela Geller. She is a activist who's been working very hard, very diligently for a very long time now to try and bring to light the threat of Islam, especially radicalized Islam, and the threat of creeping Sharia law. The dangers involved to Western culture when these things are put into practice. Now, I had actually received a link via Facebook, and one of the few times I was actually still on Facebook at the hour, to get a live viewing as they were going to walk through and show via YouTube some of the art that was involved with this cartoon event. But make no mistake about it, this was a free speech event. And Pam Geller had designed this event as a response to the Charlie Hebdo attacks in France. She wanted to make it very clear how dangerous these people are and that it's not just isolated and that there is a threat here in the United States. But the part that I need to get off my chest is the response of the mainstream liberal media. A response that is beyond my capability to digest. Like I said, I'm familiar with Pamela Geller. I'm imagining that a good number of people that listen to this show on a regular basis probably are also. She's been working hard for a long time to expose the threat. And in a lot of ways, there were three great things that happened here. Because first and foremost, only one of the security guards got injured, and it wasn't a life-threatening injury, so thank goodness for that. The two people that did get shot and killed were the would-be terrorists, the would-be, well, I suppose they think they're probably now martyrs in the cause. Three great things happened here. Number one, Pam Geller made the statement that here in the United States, especially in the state of Texas, and God bless Texas, that Americans will not be bullied into giving up their right to free speech. Americans will not be bullied by any power not under threat to give up our rights to free speech. It's one of those things that Americans in total still firmly believe in. They may not exercise it enough, and they may not be awake enough yet to start fighting for our constitutional rights again, but there is a growing number of folks who are. That's a big part of what has been ignited by the Tea Party movement. People are realizing that our Constitution is on life support. It's hanging by a thread, and our individual liberties go with it once it's gone. The police state will be established, undeniable, and they won't hide it anymore. And we're getting closer and closer to that moment every single day. So, great thing that happened, number one, is Pam Geller and all the people that showed up, that participated in this contest, guest speakers that were there, they sent the message. In America, we will not be bullied. We will not submit. We will stand firm. The second thing that is absolutely wonderful, fantastic, that happened as a result of this is they showed who they are. People that are willing to go into a crowded area and rather than discuss the issues or try and convince somebody with words and deeds that Islam is a religion of peace, to try and prove Miss Geller and her activist activities as being wrong or false or incorrect or misguided, instead of coming into the arena of thought, instead of coming into the arena of discussion, the marketplace of ideas, they come in to a crowded room with guns. Their intention is not to convince someone that Miss Geller is wrong. Their intention is not to convince someone that Islam is being misrepresented. Their intention is not to discuss how offended they may be and how inappropriate this action may be. No, their intention was to come in and shoot people. Like somehow being offended gives them the right to go around and kill people indiscriminately. Because there are those that practice the so-called religion of peace that believe fully and firmly, without a shadow of a doubt, without questioning for a second, that they do have that right. They think that. They believe that. That may not be indicative of all Muslims. I'm not saying that it is. But what I am saying is there's a large number of people that do believe that. They do feel that way. And we've seen the actions. And our government continues to try and convince us that these are the actions of lone wolf individuals that's not really associated or affiliated with anybody. It doesn't matter if they're officially connected to somebody else or not. They bought into the ideology. They bought into the propaganda that's being put forth by these people. They've been radicalized, and they are taking action. The great thing that we saw here, this part 2, is that Miss Geller proved her point. These people are here, and they are a threat to decent, honest Americans who want nothing more than to go about their business. Because right now, they attacked a group of people that were exercising their constitutionally protected right to free speech. They attacked them only because they were offended. They attacked because they feel justified under the grounds of Sharia law. They don't feel obligated to honor the laws of the nation that they are living in. They feel it necessary to act based on Sharia. That is a threat to anyone who doesn't embrace Islam or doesn't embrace Sharia. You can be a Christian under Sharia, but you've got to pay your taxes. And then you got to hope that you're dealing with somebody that's somewhat moderate, or you're faced with having to convert or die. That's just the facts. And this is the type of thing that Miss Geller has been trying to wake people up to. And this couldn't have worked out any better if it had been planned. Because these people acted exactly the way Pam Geller has been telling America that they're going to act. And now the third thing, and possibly the most important thing, is the biggest difference between what happened there and what happened in France. In France, they walked into a gun-free zone where even the police didn't have guns and ended up having to run for their lives. They weren't in a position to protect anybody. They knew that there was the possibility that things would get crazy. So they had armed security. They had unarmed security. They had police on standby, and they had SWAT teams nearby ready to react if necessary. They had guns. The people were armed. This was Texas, baby. There was no question that these people were going to react. They're not just targets, which is another strong message that all Americans need to be sending. But this sends the message to the gun grabbers as well. Guess what? When we're armed and we're ready to fire back, we're not fish in a barrel. So you can set back all you radicalized little SOBs who think that you're going to just come in here and kill everybody that refuses to convert to your ideology. It's not going to happen. You want to become a martyr? Here's your best chance. Come on. There is no fear in the people that participated with this. They stood up to exercise their free speech, and guess what? The only people who ended up dead were the two people who were trying to come into this area and shoot people. Both of them clearly devout Muslims. I'm not going to get drawn into the discussion or the argument about radicalized Islam compared to regular Islam, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter for the purposes of this conversation. What does matter is, again, number one, Americans will not be bullied. Number two, Pam Geller was proven right by the actions of these two maniacs who, in the name of Allah, wanted to kill people who were doing nothing directly to them. And number three, guns save lives, ladies and gentlemen. Now for the part that I have got to get off my chest, the part that I've been chomping at the bit to say, and we can get into some more details here in a minute, but I have got to say this, because this drove me nuts. I knew as soon as I heard about this that the left would immediately attack. They would start attacking Ms. Geller, and they would start attacking the fact that these two Muslims got killed. In so many ways, it's as if the people on the left, these death cult worshipping morons who consider themselves to be progressive, who are nothing more than mental twits, they follow in suit along with these other eugenicists who are at the top of the ladder, who are doing nothing but manipulating tree huggers and hoping for the best. Well, they've had plenty of success at dumbing down the population, so they've got folks falling in line with them, doing what they want them to do for no apparent reason. You had people in the mainstream media that, again, they started right in, they attacked Pamela Geller. Why would you do this? Why are you instigating? Can't you see this is your fault? Let me tell you something. Whether you're a contributor at the New York Times who wants to say something as idiotic as freedom of speech aside, I don't understand why you would do this. Do you have any idea how moronic that is? Freedom of speech aside. This was a freedom of speech event. That's like going to a basketball game and saying, well, basketball aside, why would these people get together on this court and run back and forth, up and down, bouncing this ball? It's kind of the point. See, in America,